So James McBeath, you don't know him. You do know him. You might know him as Indiana James. He's here at Rock Island, Tennessee. He thinks he's just working right now.
I'm doing homework.
He thinks he's just doing homework right now. What he doesn't know, and I haven't even told him yet, is we're doing an interview with him.
Am I going to be running as your vice president candidate? Or can you have a partner in life, or a life partner be your candidate, your vice president candidate?
Yeah, it's April Fool's Day, He's referring to that in case you're wondering what that is. So for those of you who don't know that guy right there, he's a whitewater kayaker. That's where I met him, from on the Ottawa River in Canada. And I think the first time I met him, he was taking a kayak class with me, but I could be wrong. But either way, he dislocated his shoulder, and some big dude pulled as hard as he could, put his foot in.
You see, it's come back perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
Like this.
No,
this is how they put the... He didn't...
He was a kickboxer. Remember?
Yeah, he's a kickboxer. Yeah, a kickboxer dude. Put James's shoulder back in, and I was so impressed that he didn't cry that we became friends. And
he actually did not successfully put my shoulder back in.
No, his shoulder never got back in.
I had to go to the hospital 3 hours away.
Wait, did I paddle you out somehow?
I get pulled by someone.
Yeah.
I sat on top of my car.
Well, anyway, we got out of there. That's the Ottawa River in Canada. You know, it's super cool, whitewater river. And then I had this thing called World Kayak Federation, and he helped me work on that in 1996, I believe it was. And then, of course, you may be familiar with World Kayak if you're a whitewater kayaker now. But this is a fishing thing, see, because this is Friday's fishing deal. But anyway, World Kayak, super cool, whitewater kayaking. But a couple stats you may or may not know about this guy. He's a 2-time world champion in fishing. That's amazing.
That's equivalent to like 6 freestyle world championships, probably.
No, but anyway, it's still pretty cool. He had a first in the Muskie World Fly Fishing Championships 2015, and then recently, what was the saltwater one called?
The World Offshore Kayak Fishing Championships.
Catfishing?
Offshore kayak fishing.
Kayak fishing, okay, cool.
Enunciate your words, James.
All right, got it. So 2-time world champion. He's also a marketing director at Jackson Kayak. What does that mean?
Meow, meow. I heard cats.
Yeah, so
lots of cats.
We've got a lot of cats, and he's in charge of herding them. So everything from, I don't know, well, everything like websites to teams to graphics to names of boats to... You do anything else? Is that it?
No.
Oh, you should have plenty of time. I don't know what he's complaining about.
Well, I win world championships. I go fishing all the time.
Oh, there you go. And he just fished in the KBF National Championships. He had 98 inches on day 2. That's pretty cool. And how much do you have in day 1?
0.
Yeah. But he actually did go fishing.
A little less than 92, but yeah, close enough.
So do your, for those of you who don't know, he's also known as Indiana James. That's his alter ego. That's his better self. By the way, where's your hat? You need a hat?
It's in my room.
You do have your hat?
Hmm?
Go get it.
Get my hat.
There's no point in talking about Indiana James if he's not in full character. So we're going to talk about a couple things. I'm going to ask him some questions. You just know what we're going to ask. We're going to find out, how do you be marketing director of a kayak company like Jackson Kayak that has Blue Sky boats? Also, don't forget Orion Coolers. All this stuff, and be like a top fishing dude. He's looking for his hat. He can't find his hat. So how do you do that? How do you win the world championships? Like when you're like working all the time. Also, whitewater kayaking. Not only is he a whitewater kayaker, but he's a really good whitewater kayaker. Like we did some good kayaking in Mexico. He runs some class 4 or 5 whitewater. All right, here we go. So the first question, Indiana James, is who are you? So James McBeath is gone. So introduce us to Indiana.
Well, I'm a bumbling. Did you ever read the book Don Quixote?
Read?
This is the book. It's got words in it. It's an old book, Don Quixote. He's kind of a misguided, oft lost adventurer. He thought he was a knight, but knights were long gone. He used to attack people, but there weren't people. There were actually windmills.
Okay.
Big monsters.
So you fashioned your character after him?
I kind of fashioned my character after him. Remember how it all started? We were in Mexico, in Veracruz,
Okay.
and I was trying to pronounce the word for orange, oranga.
Yeah, okay.
And then we cut off into a shtick, and Nick filmed the whole thing.
And that became Indiana James? That's where it started?
That's where it started.
Oh, amazing. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
We did the JKTV thing. We used to have Indiana James episodes.
Oh, by the way, if write this down, JKTV, as in Jackson Kayak TV. You need to check it out. It's, I don't know, it's on YouTube, JKTV. That's back when my son Dane and my son-in-law Nick were really young. And anyway, we did some really cool stuff. So we did fishing, whitewater kayaking, recreational kayaking. In fact, we did a trip to Veracruz. Yep. So if you're a fisherman, Veracruz, Mexico looks like the best snook place of all time. Mangroves and the whole deal. Minus the fact that
there's no snook.
There's no snook. You know why? Why?
They gill netted and fished and got rid of all the snook. And then they started burning the mangrove trees so they can grow pot.
It's really depressing. So one of the awesome things about living in the U.S. is that we have a lot of fishermen, or Canada, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I'm from Canada.
Yeah, I forgot to say. So, by the way...
are you ashamed of that?
By the way, he's not an American. He's a North American, but he's not from the United States of America. He's from the United States of Canada, our 51th state.
We're the greatest national park in the United States.
The biggest national park in the United States. Otherwise is known as Northern Montana. North Montana is a state, right? Or
North to it.
Actually, North New York.
It's more Wisconsin or no, Minnesota.
Minnesota, okay. So educate us on something. We want to know how you won the World Muskie Fly Fishing Championships first. And so tell us about your 2 World Championship wins and what did you do to were you just totally butt lucky or something else?
I don't think so. So Muskie World Championships. So the cool thing was I wasn't actually invited. We sponsored the event, and what happened is we gave them a kayak to give away to one of the top. I think it was raffled off to one of the top winners. About 200 competitors, and as part of the sponsorship package, we got 2 spots to compete in.
How come you didn't invite me?
I did invite you. You weren't here.
Oh.
So I had this guy from Wisconsin join us, and so we kind of pre-fished a couple of days with Jace. Jace is our first employee here at Jackson Kayak, and Jace took me out to a couple of rivers, and we kind of scouted the place. And what we noticed was all the muskie were up in the rivers because it was May, it was cold. They wanted the shallow, warmer water, and everybody else was fishing the bigger rivers, the bigger parts of the river, mostly because they had big dories and bass boats converted for fly fishing. So they had guides, and I called them fluff chuckers. And I had I borrowed a 5-weight rod.
Did you catch that? It is the ultimate term for a fly fisherman. What is it, James?
Fluff chucker.
Yeah. He's a self-described fluff chucker. So sorry,
I started tying wild flies a couple of years ago. Anyways, we're getting to that. So anyway, I didn't hang around the big water at all, and I just cruised down this one river. It got really shallow at spots, and I brought in a 39-inch muskie, and that was the winning muskie.
Sweet. So, there you go. What about this one most recently, a couple months ago, right?
Yeah. So we're a great little location called Los Buzos in Panama. I guess about 8 months ago, we did a film shoot there with JK Media House, which is our in-house production company. And the owner of the place was building up. He had a big qualifying series of events that spanned the world, where ocean fishermen from around the world were kind of invited or had to qualify to make this top 12 finals championship in Panama, and they're missing a spot. They had a spot open. Again, I wasn't really invited, and I didn't qualify. But they had a kind of a board that they kind of went through, and they tried to get as many countries involved as possible. The next qualifier was actually an American. In line to qualify was an American, but they already had 2 Americans. They had a Costa Rican, a guy from Singapore, and a guy from Australia, and a guy from New Zealand, 2 guys from Australia. So there's a whole span of international people, but didn't want nobody else qualified from any other country but the U.S. So he phones me and he's like, well, we could use a Canadian.
Oh, kind of like, the token Canadian kind of thing?
Totally a token Canadian. So I've been fishing for the last 12 years with the Right Honorable Jim Samons. So Jim has been a pretty big name in kayak fishing. I was telling someone earlier today that 50% of kayak anglers got into kayak fishing because of Jim Samons, and the other 50% Drew Gregory. We're blessed to have both on our team. And so Jim's been taking me out to a lot of these really cool destinations, and I was able to figure them out. And I got to know a lot, gather a lot of knowledge after many years of fishing with him, and it all kind of came together. We were 5 days fishing. It was.
What did you catch? You caught fish. What kind of fish?
Well, the big fish were broomtail grouper, so they're big 50 to 80 pound fish that you're pulling up from 150 feet, and they'll get to about 50 feet, and their bladders will start to ache, and they'll go whoa, and they go boom straight down, and you're like dragging, ripping line. It's like, so it's like an hour fight to get these guys up, and the good thing is you get to eat them after.
Oh, sweet.
The broomtails are like really good. I fed like all 14 of us basically that day.
Sick.
So it's the best 3 days out of 5. Your points count. You did points for different things. Roosters and Cubera were there. They had sailfish. We didn't see any sailfish. We saw some marlin jump, but nobody caught one. Marlin would have been 400 points and probably would have won the tournament. No one caught one. But yeah, I had a good 2-day total. Actually, I had one that one day was kind of weak, but I had 2 really big days and
sweet.
Took her home.
So what's your newest project for Jackson Kayak? Like, anything? We got nothing to do. That's the best thing. He's got nothing to do. So like you said, it's like really easy to do marketing for Jackson Kayak. That's why he gets to fish so much. Right? Yeah.
Well, it's a lifestyle company.
Right.
It's a lifestyle company. One of my favorite characters in the outdoor business, Joe Kowalski, once said to me, when I calculated I work at his rafting company, I made like $1 an hour, because we worked from 6 o'clock in the morning till like midnight, 1 o'clock doing security. And he's like, James, it's the lifestyle. I thought I was a perfect. That's exactly why we're in it, right, EJ?
That is true. Well, this particular place, Wilderness Tours, they were known for once the work is done, the party starts. So it was pretty sweet. And by the way, speaking of Wilderness Tours on the Ottawa, so he lives near the Ottawa River, and that's where we went whitewater kayaking for the first time. But the other thing that we do is we go fishing down the Ottawa River. We're talking big, awesome smallmouth. I think the first one time I counted every fish, 250 smallmouth in one day.
Yeah.
Not to mention pike 250 fish. Not to mention pike, pike and smallmouth. Running rapids. Anyway, where he's from is pretty sweet. So lots of fish, lots of whitewater. Except the downside, if you want to go bass fishing, can you go bass fishing this weekend?
No.
When are you allowed to bass fish there?
So first of all, I just spent a week in Louisiana with the KBF National Championships, and I got back into fishing, and I hadn't fished in January. Okay, that's not a long time. So I got back into
I hadn't
fishing.
fished since I got back from Panama. Never mind.
Never mind. So I'm ready to go. I fly home in 3 days, and there's 4 feet of snow on the ground, and the ice is still socked in. We're talking 2 foot of ice. People are still ice fishing out there. It's like, and we protect the spawn, so the ice is going to melt. We're going to be able to fish for walleye and pike in May, like the 18th of May. But I think there's still going to be ice in the lake, so forget that. And then by the time bass fishing comes along, we protect the spawn, so we don't start fishing bass until like the 12th or something like that of July. So,
July?
Yeah, it's like a while.
I thought it was June. Can you imagine? You're not allowed. It's illegal to bass fish until July because the fish haven't spawned yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one reason not to move to Canada right there if you're a bass fisherman. So Canadians come to America to catch fish off the beds.
But we do have that's right. We do have a lot of bass though.
They have a lot of bass, but that has to do with
200 bass in one day.
That has to do with not very many people and a lot of water. So they've got about, 3 times the amount of water, maybe 5 times the amount of water as the U.S. has. And they have like 1/10 the people. So that would explain it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
To answer your question earlier, that's my goal this year. I have a new partnership brewing with Parks Canada, and I'm going to be exploring some parks. We have a really cool deal with our train via rail, which is like your what's your train, Amtrak or something like that. It's the same deal.
Yeah.
What they do is there's certain sections of the track that go way up north to cut through the the timber line and stuff like that. They will drop you off for $75. They will drop you off at a GPS point and pull your kayaks out of the baggage car, and then come back like 7 days later and pick you up in that very same spot.
Sweet.
So that's as soon as the mosquitoes and the black flies are gone. I have a buddy of mine and I are going to go up and we're going to do a big exploratory of this lake that's going to be chock full of big massive pike. And
ooh, when are you doing this?
October, September time frame.
September sounds good.
Invited.
Huh?
You're invited.
Oh, finally.
There's no bugs up there at that time. It's just perfect.
Awesome.
But they got blueberries. Lots of blueberries up there.
All right, so we're going on a train in October and or September. We're going to do it in September. We're going to go get dropped off in the middle of nowhere in Canada on a train with our kayaks. We're going to drag our kayaks to Epic Lake, camp and catch really big fish. It's going to be amazing. Lots of fish.
I mean, if you like that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's not for everybody. But.
Indiana James.
Nice meeting everybody.
We'll see you next week.
You should go on Facebook, check out Indiana James, and give me a like, please, right now. Do it.
Yeah, also, you got the, right on that side over there is a subscribe button for your for YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe to that. That way you don't have to wonder. It should 11 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Look for something new. Monday, 11 a.m. Whitewater. Wednesday, 11 a.m. My 2 cents. Where I give you good, bad, and intermediate advice, and then on about whatever you can listen or not. It's up to you.
Which one am I on?
I don't know. Which one are you on? You're on the fishing one.
Bad advice.
And then Friday is fishing day. So Friday, fish fry. All right, we'll see you.